Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with the Guardian columnist Zoe Williams and the political commentator Benedict Spence. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight. Welcome both. So let's take a look at what is on some of those front pages. Well, following the Israeli airstrikes on Hezbollah's headquarters in Beirut, the Eye pictures a pile of burning rubble, accompanied by the headline, Israel's warning to Iran. The Guardian leads on that too. Their headline, Israel launches heaviest air attacks on Lebanon. The Mirror marks the death of Dame Maggie Smith, calling the actress a true legend. The Times reports that the government intends to let university tuition fees rise in line with inflation, but will also reintroduce maintenance grants for students who need them. The Express quotes a group that campaigns on behalf of the elderly, describing the Chancellor Rachel Reeves as vindictive over what it believes is the government's attitude to pensioners. According to the Financial Times, UK government will need to put £1.6 trillion towards public infrastructure projects in the next decade and a half. The Mail carries an extract from the memoirs of their columnist, Boris Johnson, in which he claims he considered invading the Netherlands to seize their supply of COVID vaccines. The Telegraph repeats that same anecdote. And The Sun leads with former ITV presenter Philip Schofield's return to television. I was thrown under the bus, he says. And the reminder that by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's papers while you watch us discuss them. And we are joined tonight by Zoe Williams and Benedict Spence. Thank you so much for being with us on a Friday night. OK, let's take a look at, the main story in a lot of papers. Let's start with The Guardian. Zoe, Israel launches heaviest air attacks on Lebanon. And that is that attack that we've seen earlier today on Hezbollah headquarters. And there's still a big question mark as to whether the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, was killed in those attacks or not. A game changer, do you think, Zoe?
It's certainly a game changer because it does call into question whether, well, A, Hezbollah is much more powerful than Hamas, and it cannot be, the idea that you could simply raise it to the ground and obliterate it is fanciful. But B, of course, it does beg the question: how does Iran respond, and can Iran possibly not respond? Now, Iran has always been the dog that didn't bark in the year up to now, because there were so many times during the bombardments in Gaza when Iran could have felt itself to be provoked and kept really uncharacteristically quiet. But it would be very, very difficult if Nasrallah's been killed for Iran to stay out of it, because he was such a close ally and, really fundamental part of that axis between Lebanon and Iran. It does seem to be it's not an accident by Netanyahu. He does not want the war in Gaza to end. It does seem like it's moving closer to the return of the hostages. It does seem like it's moving closer to a ceasefire. The pressure on him to bring about, or to at least kind of agree to a temporary ceasefire, is building all the time. His extremely bellicose, angry performance at the UN is testament to how much international pressure he feels under. And as soon as whatever happens in Gaza, as soon as it progresses to anywhere, the attention really comes back to him, and the criticism will begin. So, the escalation into Lebanon is not an accident, but it may come to look extremely haphazard and not pan out the way he wanted it to.
Benedict, before I come to you, let me just bring you some breaking news that is coming into us from the Reuters news agency, and that is that blasts have been heard in Beirut. So we can assume that attacks are resuming now in the Lebanese capital. Benedict, what do you make of the developments we've seen?
If Iran gets involved militarily, the United States gets involved militarily, and Iran can't win that conflict. Iran, as you said, is the dog that didn't bark because it can't, really. It doesn't yet have tactical nuclear weapons that it can deploy, so it won't feel confident actually engaging Israel directly. And the question is it prepared actually to do that over Lebanon, which is a basket case of country? It's effectively a failed state. in the same way that Hamas gambled so that it might, that proxies in the region might get involved on its behalf if it attacked Israel, and they didn't really, because actually Hassan Nasrallah has talked a lot but done everything that he could realistically to avoid Hezbollah getting involved directly into a war. The Israelis have demolished Hamas and demolished much of Gaza with it, and now they are very clearly goading Hezbollah into trying to do something very silly. They've created a massive power vacuum through their targeted assassinations of senior figures. And what we'll be looking for now is to see what kind of beast is Hezbollah. Is it going to make a rash decision? Is it going to start launching rockets full pelt, giving the Israelis justification? Is it going to hope that Iran comes to its aid? Very unlikely. Or is it going to perhaps try to de-escalate the situation itself? Because it has to understand, in the same way that Hamas could not win the war against Israel, Hezbollah, it can fight them to a standstill as it did in 2005, but it's not a war it can necessarily win, and it will take huge casualties as part of that. So I think it's all a gamble by Netanyahu to see how this ends, but I do think actually right now it's sort of leaning towards Israel's favour.
I think that, you know, Hezbollah would argue that how can they de-escalate a conflict which Israel is escalating? I mean, you know, it's very difficult.
By not firing back, which might seem very strange, but actually you're under no obligation to start firing hundreds of thousands of missiles at the Israelis if they're coming in. If you shrink back into the shadows, you don't necessarily have to escalate that situation.
Let me just bring another front page that's just got a similar angle. The Eye front page there, Israel's warning to Iran, making many of the points that we were touching on. Let's move on now to some domestic news. The Times, page 6 and 7, and it's the Labour freebies story that goes on. Zoe, explain it to us.
So, obviously, the Keir Starmer in particular, but also the entire cabinet has been, well, not the entire cabinet, but other members of the cabinet have been under fire for the past week, actually stretching before the Labour conference for the freebies they've accepted. It's centred on Keir Starmer's acceptance of £75,000 worth of football tickets, but many people will think that the 2,500 he accepted for glasses was worse, because, you know, who needs those glasses? Anyway, I'm trying not to editorialise. The Rachel Reeves also accepted some clothing funds from an ally and donor. It's not looking great. I mean, you know, Keir Starmer there, 133,000 since over the past 5 years, I think, not just these 3 months. What's so dispiriting about it, if you're a Labour supporter or even just an impartial voter, is it kind of, new things emerge all the time. This £16,000 has just emerged after the gigantic declarations before. And B, there's something so amateurish about the explanations. They're behaving like Instagram influencers, you know?
Benedict.
I think it's very much giving off the indication that it's a very unsure government, that there is a lot of sort of immaturity around it. I think actually a lot of that stems from the fact that during the election campaign, Labour didn't actually get quite as much scrutiny as perhaps it might otherwise have done, certainly not as much as Jeremy Corbyn did in the previous election cycle, because there was a perception that it was a fait accompli, and also, let's be honest, it was fun to stick the boot in to the Tories. Now, I think there's a bit of leaning a bit so far the other way, because there is clearly just so much to dig into.
Well, there was something strategic about this, right? There were, you know, absolutely, definitely, just before conference, they kind of, a coordinated attempt was made to hit him where it hurts in what he claimed was the difference between him and the Conservatives, his probity. And this is a terrible look.
Going to have to leave it there for now. Coming up, tributes to the legendary actress Dame Maggie Smith, who died today. We'll look back on her life and career next.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war.
This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's future.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away. So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
I'm
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's international affairs editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling. War, unrest, revolutions.
It's not his country, it's ours, and we're going to take it back.
They have succeeded for the first time in their country's history in removing a leader from power. Now, freedom! There was fighting here, but there's clearly now a lull, and they're using it to bring up more ammunition. We take you to the heart of the stories that shape our world. This is a mass exodus in which Russia is hemorrhaging some of its brightest and its best. According to the local weather channel, there have been more than 2,500 lightning strikes, torrential rain and flash flooding, all on top of this week's lethal tornado. What stays with you most in this job is some of the people you meet. What is your worst fear about what the Russians want to do to the children?
They're just boosting demographics by stealing young people.
Would you like to take the opportunity, Mr. President, on Sky News to invite Barack Obama to come here? Mr. Trump, are you running for president? Can you confirm it?
We're going to take a look, a very serious look.
On that day, we saw your fighters killing women, killing children. Was that a mistake? Did you go too far? You couldn't control your fighters? The full force of the state is being used to crush any protest. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued with its ultimatum to the people of Ashkelon, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in. Another alarm. The mood here is jittery and nervous. We're seeing the world get more and more divided, and it's our job to try to make sense of it all.
I say, bring it on.
With America divided and tensions running high, get ready for an election like no other.
Join our teams as we follow the campaign trail as America decides.
We will win, win, win.
Get closer to the action this US election with full reaction and analysis.
Sky News, the full story first.
There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation, analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. You're watching the press preview with me now, Zoe Williams and Benedict Spence. Let's go straight to the Mirror front page and the story that obviously has been replicated in many of the papers. Front page of the Mirror, a true legend. Tears and tributes as Dame Maggie Smith dies at the age of 89. There's not a lot of people you could write a true legend for, and that applies to you, but it does to her, doesn't it, Zoe?
It certainly does, and we would... You know, her performances are so... Probably all of us, at every stage of our life, could name the one that that was formative in our understanding of what an actor was. So, you know, from somebody of my vintage, it would be her in Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, the just absolutely beautiful adaptation of the Muriel Spark, for which was the only thing that she won an Oscar for. But, you know, for my kids, they're going to be devastated that the Harry Potter actor has died.
Yeah, true. So will mine.
Yeah.
She won 2 Oscars, by the way.
Oh,
What was the other one for? The name has escaped me. It's not important, I suppose. But no, I mean,
California Sweep, I'm being told.
Oh, being told.
It wasn't me. They told me.
You could have taken the credit for it. Nobody would have known. I mean, yes, obviously Harry Potter is the big thing. There's always the curse of so many sort of great actors of the stage in London. You know, people like Ian McKellen, is that they do all these sort of magnificent things and then they end up in a superhero film or something like that, and that's what they're remembered for. But I mean, also, I remember watching her in David Copperfield on the BBC. There was a time when actually she was in all of those sorts of adaptations, which had a younger Daniel Radcliffe in it long before he was Harry Potter. Tea with Mussolini, all sorts of things, and such a great sort of breadth of talent, very funny, very serious, very sharp, could apply herself to all different sorts of classes and backgrounds, and it just sort of felt that she was one of those perpetual actors.
Well, that's what J.K. Rowling said in a tweet, so she couldn't quite, I don't remember how she worded it, but it was something like, I didn't think that she could die.
I mean, I think it has come as a bit of a shock because nobody thought that she was young, and at the same time, everybody sat there going, "But it's no age, 89."
But
you
also,
assume she had longer.
Also, I think her career, she was kind of had the same playing age for the past 40 years. So, the period in which she was kind of a young actor only went on for about 6 or 7 years, and then she was a kind of grande dame since the 80s.
Powerful.
Yeah. And I think that's a kind of role model for the endless career.
Absolutely. We have 90 seconds to talk about how we were about to invade the Netherlands at some point. Benedict, do you want to explain it? It's front page of the Daily Mail.
To explain.
Speaking of endless careers, Boris Johnson's memoir, which is being serialised on the front of the Mail and is apparently going to be the best. It's the memoir of the century, they say. I mean, that's quite a billing to live up to. At one point, he was thinking about potentially launching commandos into the Netherlands to a warehouse, I think, in Lebanon, because there were 5 million AstraZeneca COVID vaccines that he thought belonged to the UK because they'd been developed here. But he was told under no sort of no other conditions that this is probably a very bad idea to have technically invaded a NATO ally over a shared vaccine programme, so it died. That's the story.
Let me just show the front page of the Daily Mail here. And the headline, Boris's dramatic plan for military raid on Holland to snatch back our vaccines. Here it is.
Don't you miss him?
As terrible as that period was, I don't...
Is there a but after that?
I don't think I realised just how many stupider ideas were being discarded to get the ones that arrived in public.
So many throws at the dartboard of ideas that didn't quite come off.
I think if I'd known that he was sitting there going, "Shall we invade Holland?"
You should read the book. Wonder how you know that.
I think I would have enjoyed it even less.
OK.
I'm looking forward to it coming out anyway, if only for this story.
Benedict, Zoe, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for having gone through the papers with us. And now let's take a look at the weather. The weekend brings something a little bit drier and brighter, although it will feel cold in a northerly wind, and rain is set to return later on Sunday. It will be a cold start to Saturday morning with a touch of frost in rural spots. Most places will be dry, but thicker cloud will bring scattered, blustery showers to the northwest. The showers will become more widespread through the morning, mainly affecting northern and western areas, and possibly turning a little wintry over the Scottish mountains. Otherwise, most places will have a dry day with bright or sunny spells. Once the winds ease, it will feel warmer in the south and east.